Republican Mike Gallagher, chair of the House Select Committee on China, who serves on the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees, is also a retired Marine. Congressman, it's always good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. First, I want to get your reaction to this breaking news from the Defense Secretary that we have, and he didn't confirm this number. Wall Street Journal reporting it's about 2,000 U.S. Service members who are now told to be ready to deploy to Israel.
Well, I think it shows you just how precarious the situation is. And though these troops are largely going to be providing supporting functions, combat enabling functions, not direct combat forces themselves, it's still dangerous anytime you send American troops into what is now increasingly a war zone, at least in parts of Israel. But that's the job. That's what you sign up for in the days of the all-volunteer force. But it further should highlight the fact that we in Congress and the executive branch as well have a duty to provide the resources our troops need to be able to do a very difficult and dangerous mission and come home safe. And there we still have a long way to go because, as you know, we have not funded the military yet. We've not made a generational investment in key weapon systems that not only our military needs, but our allies like Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, needs right now. We're falling down on the job. So my hope is we can get a speaker chosen tomorrow and start doing things like passing a defense bill that has robust oversight, but robust funding so that our troops, when they're sent into harm's way, have the training and resources they need to come home safely.
You know, I want to pull up this Wall Street Journal headline, how the Hamas-Israel war is tilting the global power balance in favor of Russia and China. It says China, Russia, and Iran have long sought to undermine the U.S.-backed international system and are now taking advantage of America's distraction. You know, this is a chilling report, and it's not a huge surprise. But how involved, either tacitly or directly, do you believe that Russia and China are in what we've seen play out in Ukraine, in Israel, all of these areas that are now very hot spots that the U.S. is involved in?
Well, my view is that Russia and China have been waging a Cold War against the West for quite some time. America and our allies seeking to fray our alliance structures, seeking to benefit from our neo-isolationism and our retreat from the world stage. And increasingly, Iran is part of this axis of authoritarian powers that is arrayed against us. Now, can I prove to you that a signal went up in Beijing and Iran said we will execute and therefore Iranian proxies are executing attacks? No. And these are countries that have divergent interests, but increasingly their shared overwhelming interest in undermining America, destroying American global leadership, and severing our traditional alliance structures is causing them to collaborate. And here again, I would say, though I agree with the logic laid out in that piece, it depends entirely on our response. This is a moment for America. This should be a wake-up call moment. It is time for us to rearm, get serious, and start leading the free world once again. But if we don't, if we stay divided at home, if we stay distracted, and if we disengage from the world, then we will create an opportunity for China, Russia, and terrorist-sponsoring states like Iran to fill. And that will be a very dark and dangerous world. It's a world we don't want to live in.
One more question for you. I don't know if you saw President Biden's interview on 60 Minutes last night. But, you know, he talked about the fact that he said yes to the question, do you support Israel's mission to end Hamas, to eliminate Hamas? And he said yes. I'm curious what you thought about, you know, sort of the posture of the president's answers. Were you satisfied with his answers last night in that interview?
I was very glad to hear that. But of course, now is the time to back up words with actions. And the biggest action this administration needs to do, that I fear they're reluctant to do, is to abandon their Iran policy, their attempt to increase Iranian influence in the region by pursuing the revival of the Obama nuclear deal with Iran at all costs. Until we fix that basic problem, we're going to be struggling with regional chaos because it gets all of our traditional alliances wrong. And so I urge the president to shift course when it comes to Iran, reimpose a policy of maximum pressure, because, of course, Hamas has benefited from Iranian training and largesse and funding for quite some time now.
Indeed. All right. Mike Gallagher, Congressman, thank you. Very good to have you with us, chair of the Select Committee over China as well.